So I always knew, I just knew my personality, and I just knew I could never work for somebody. I just can't, you know. I work well with others, but I don't work well when I'm employed by others. I have a very specific vision of what I wanted my practice to be. In fact, when I finished my residency, so my plan was I'm a dermatologist and I'm a dermatopathologist. So I have like sort of two things going on. And when I first finished my fellowship in dermatopathology, I was working a couple of days a week in the city seeing patients, and I was working for a lab a few days a week reading slides. So I had like sort of two different jobs going on. And my plan was I'm going to do this for a few years, kind of get my feet wet, learn a little bit, kind of earn while I learn, and then I'll eventually start my own practice. My goal was always to start my own practice. But after doing this for like 3 or 4 months, I was miserable. I was, I just didn't, I loved the doctor I worked for. He was one of my mentors, and he was great. But the practice wasn't really what I envisioned being a dermatologist. I imagined being like in this slick, modern office and having like a sleek desk and just a really sort of cool state-of-the-art office. And my wife came from a very different background. She grew up with a very entrepreneurial family. They were very, very successful. And she has that sort of bug in her, like kind of just do it. Like, why don't you just do it? So my daughter was maybe 3 or 4 months old. I don't know. I think my wife's actually. No, my daughter was a few months old, and my wife told me, she said, why don't you borrow money and start a practice? And we flipped an apartment during that time, so we were sitting on like a very little bit of cash. And she basically told me, use all the money that we have as like a down payment and borrow money from the bank. Literally every dollar that we had. And I borrowed $1 million from Citibank in 2008, right before the market crashed. So the market crashed that year. I borrowed money, that summer I got my loan. And you can never get a loan like that anymore. It doesn't matter what you do. And I was broke as a joke. My wife and I were both broke, because she basically, everything that we had saved, she invested in me, basically. And I started my practice. I hung my shingle up. I didn't have a single patient and just started from scratch. I was actually working another full-time job while I was doing it, and I had my own lab that I kind of started too. So I was working like 3 jobs, working 7 days a week, trying to build this thing. And it worked.